BW Wellbeing or BW Business World presents BW Dialogue on celebrating the festival of life. Today we have a very special guest with us, Ms. Shwetambari Shetty. She is the author of the extremely inspiring book Get Moving, and she is an expert fitness trainer of CureFit. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, Kavi. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, so how have the last 8 months been for you personally and professionally?
Okay, so you mean the pandemic phase, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think, this is what I was busy with during the pandemic, getting Get Moving ready for, people to pick up and read. But apart from this, of course, I had a baby just about 4 months back. So that was the other thing that kept me busy the last 8 months. So yeah, book and the baby are two things. And yeah, after the book release and after the baby happened, I'm trying to get back to, my old pre-pregnancy weight and fitness. So I've been busy with that.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavi. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, so your book Get Moving is very detailed and descriptive. How did this idea of the book germinate in your mind?
So, Kavi, honestly, Penguin, I think, was the one to think about doing something so beautiful and simple. So, fitness is, of course, available and all over the place, right? There are so many videos, so many gyms and fitness centers and all of that. But I and Penguin, of course, wanted to do something very simple, which is easy for anybody to be able to incorporate, right? Now, do you always have to go to the gym to exercise? Not really. Do you always have to have equipments and machines to exercise? Not really. Can we incorporate a lot of basic things which our body is designed to do to kind of be fit and healthy? Yes, absolutely. So that's what this book is about, right? We've tried to put in a lot of movements and exercises which are simple, which anybody and everybody can do, at home in the little space they have without any equipments, and keep moving more often and just, try to get on the path of being fit and healthy through incorporating small changes on a daily basis, right? Without making fitness complex. So that's what it was all about. We wanted people to start moving more often right in the setup of their own house and just get on the path of being healthier, not necessarily size zero, so on and so forth, but being more healthy and aging gracefully.
Fantastic, ma'am. Ma'am, since the centers are reopening in India, what are the measures you are taking?
So at Cult, Kavi, the measures are actually brilliant because we've opened now for close to a month and a half or 2 months, and we've opened across all the cities where Cult is present in India. And of course, we've reduced the capacity that a center can hold by almost half. So if a center could take in 100 people at a given point, obviously it's now only 50 people because of distancing. And the measures right from sanitization to the equipment handling, everything is top notch, right? And we've not had any complaints so far from any of our customers. We've had people coming in to exercise on a regular basis. We've not seen any drop in the numbers. So people are also being very cautious and careful. At the same time, all the centers are doing brilliant with the sanitization and safety measures. So we're seeing that this is going to continue this way, but all the gyms are just going to be functional normal here on with great measures.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, how's the response with members or customers coming to the centers versus members continuing to work out online? How long do they intend to continue with online classes?
Yeah, Kavi, honestly, I think all of us have accepted that this is going to be a little bit of a way of life, right, for a brief period. But I'll tell you, the ones that are being extremely cautious are maybe people like me who have a newborn at home, and people who have, like elderly parents and etc. at home. Apart from that, I have noticed everybody is out there doing what they're supposed to do on a daily basis. People are going to the respective offices. People are going to the gyms to work out with absolute caution. People are going to cafes, lunches and dinners, right? I think the only ones who are being a little more careful and are still, like staying indoors, like I said, are people who have, someone ailing at home or someone too young to, expose them to, the pandemic or anything. But otherwise, I think it's business as usual here on. And, I really don't see anybody staying indoors for too long.
Excellent.
And I think we've understood that, being safe in a certain way, like the mask and constant hygiene and sanitization, I think we're managing to keep it at bay as much as possible. And everyone's kind of understood that now. So I think we're okay.
Excellent, ma'am. Ma'am, how is the response to the therapy that you all provide as one of your services, such as mental health and nutritional counseling?
Yes. So obviously, mental health and nutrition, two very different things, right? Mental health, as you and I both know, Kavi, is still very niche in India, right? We don't, first of all, understand and address it immediately. Secondly, even if we understand that there may be a small issue around there, we don't seek therapy, okay? So it is still very niche, and we're trying to, put it out there, make it, as available to people as possible. We do have a good number of people coming and seeking whatever therapy they need, but it is still not like, you know how it is abroad, right? Like people, it's very normal to go see a, psychiatrist, or a psychologist and all of that. It's not so normal here yet. Forget seeing a psychiatrist. Like we sometimes don't even talk to our own, parents or friends or spouses about the way we feel. So I think that space is still too niche. It is going to take time, but I think at CureFit, I think we're very, very clear that we want to be in this space. We want to help people. So we're at it. We're not, stopping or giving up, even if the numbers are going, small. We're going to be continuing the efforts, and we know that over the years, just like how fitness now is going towards the direction of a necessity. If you remember, 3 or 4 years back, fitness was a luxury in India, right? Today, more and more people are aware and they want to make those changes. So we're heading towards it becoming a necessity, just like eating, bathing, and all of that, right? Similarly, I think taking care of yourself mentally is going to become a necessity, just that it's going to take a few more years before we get there, right? About nutrition, I think that's a space that's honestly doing well, because people have understood that just by exercising, everything doesn't fall into place, right? Your health and your fitness is a combination of two things: food and exercise, which is what this book also specifies in quite a lot of details, right? But I do also mention in the book that, if you are seeking that guidance with, right eating, what agrees for your body, what does not agree, it's always good to see a qualified nutritionist, at least, for the initial few months. Then you understand your body, understand the food that works, and then you make those permutation combinations, right? But food plays a very, very, very important role. And Kavi, honestly, I think I have realized that more in my life now, because I'm trying to, make those changes to my lifestyle and my, fitness post my delivery, right? Postpartum. And postpartum weight loss is one of the most challenging ones. So now I've become so much more conscious with the kind of food I eat, how clean it is, and how much I need to eat. So it is really, you need to understand your body. You need to understand what food your body can accept, what it cannot. Make those changes and get the right amount of guidance when you do it, right? But nutrition is doing amazing. And I think it is here to stay for a long time, and people need that hand-holding, especially if you have to be, achieving a goal. Then food and, workouts go hand in hand.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, in the book, you talk about the health related to the gut. So the gut is considered our second brain. And you said that when the gut is not functioning normally, our mental health also does not function normally. Could you just explain a little bit about that, ma'am?
Yes. Now, I don't know, how much in detail I can go into this, right? But this is, again, my recent learning, when your gut, your stomach, your intestine, all of that is not clean and not functional properly, it bothers you, it bugs you, it, makes you irritated, it makes you upset, it makes you angry. You don't realize this, immediately, but if you start understanding how you function and how your gut functions, over a period of time, you will make note of these changes and you will realize that it is the function of the gut. Now, I'll give you a classic. I mean, I don't mean to, sound like offensive or anything here, or, even gross for that matter, but a simple thing like constipation, right? A lot of us go through constipation as a normal thing in life, right? It is not normal. It is something to actually be worried about. That is a problem of the gut, and that's where it is the initial problem. That's where it starts. And if you keep ignoring it, it only keeps getting worse. And a simple problem like constipation can really annoy you, bug you, irritate you, and all of that have a ripple effect on everything that you do through the day. So keeping your gut very clean and keeping it healthy is absolutely important, and that can only be done through food, right? You've got to eat the right kind of food. You've got to eat at the right time for you to be able to keep that gut very clean and healthy. And automatically you will realize that when your gut is clean and healthy, your mind is so much more clearer, you feel so much more better, your body feels a lot lighter, right? And you feel like you're more efficient and productive in everything you do. But it is an experience, Kavi. It's not something that, I can tell you and you just accept it and understand, but it is something that you need to put into practice, and you need to see how you feel.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, what motivates you the most to be a role model to so many people?
Honestly, this dates back to 2011 when I did my first class, and I had one student in that class. And obviously, when you have one student and it's not a personal training, it's a group fitness class, you feel like you're set up for failure. But when I had that one student finish the class with me 100%, and she was sweating it out, and she was like, "Thank you so much, Shwetambari. I feel so good, and you were excellent." That's when I knew that this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help people get fitter, healthier, and happier, motivate them on a regular basis, inspire them through my own doings on a daily basis, right? And that's what I've been doing the last 9 to 10 years. I do everything on my own so that I know what it feels like, and then I try to incorporate that for my customers or for my members, right? Like practice what you preach. It's as simple as that, right? And because you have that capability to motivate and inspire people, it just makes you so much more happier. And I guess that was my turning point. After that one class, I decided that here is where I want to make a big difference for my city, Bangalore. And of course, I got lucky when we got acquired by Mukesh Bansal and Ankit Nagori's Curefit. I was able to reach out to masses across the country. And through the online platform, of course, the reach is now even, US and Canada and all of that. Yeah. So I'm just happy being in this space, making people fitter and happier.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, from a banker to a very popular fitness expert, how could you tell us about how this transition came about?
Okay, it's a long one, but I'm going to make it, very brief. So I was in the bank for a good 6-7 years, and I loved my job. It's what taught me about leadership, business management, all of that. And then I think after like 6+ years, honestly, I think it was getting a little complacent. There was a lot of monotony. And right at that time, I got this offer from a very reputed health club to manage their operations. So I just took that risk and I said, let me just do it, right? So I dropped my job at HSBC at the bank, and I just moved to work at this health club, at this fitness center. I honestly didn't know I was doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I was kind of not so clear in my head, but I took up the job. It was a very difficult job, but that changed my life, right? From sticking to, the banking job for like 6-7 years, to doing this job at this health club for only 7 months. I was like, okay, this is probably another failure. But what I learned in those 7 months was amazing. And that's what helped me take the path of fitness. So that's where I did my fitness certifications. It kind of really brought back my memories from school of being in sports and fitness and the adrenaline you get by doing these physical activities. And that changed my whole direction. But I took a break after that job. I quit in 7 months. I took a break. I got married. But then my husband was like, get back to it because you really love doing that. So then I said, let me just do this on my own. I don't necessarily have to do it at a corporate level. I can do this on my own. So I started as, freelance trainer. From the trainer, with the help of another friend of mine, Sudeep Kulkarni, we headed on the path of being an entrepreneur. So I did the entrepreneur role for about 3-4 years when I started the Tribe Fitness Club along with my, ex-business partner. From Tribe, we moved to CureFit because in 2017, CureFit acquired our gym. And, the rest is history because CureFit is here now. Cult is all over India, and we have online and offline presence. Our online was picked up really quick. As soon as the pandemic started, our online classes were open for people to grab and work out at home. So yeah, that's briefly how it all happened, right? I just got lucky and I got a lot of opportunities that came my way. And the thing I did differently was I didn't let go of any opportunity that came my way. I just said, it could be success or it could be failure. So what? When you fail at something, you're just going to learn and move on. So I just took up everything that came my way. And I think, time and again, it worked in my favor, Kavi.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, in the book you mentioned micronutrients and macronutrients. Many of us don't know what they are. Could you just shed some light on that, please?
So, sure. See, you need to, so food, right, is actually, it's complex when we don't try to understand it. And it's simple when we've kind of broken it down and understood it, right? So this is how I had understood what food means to the body. You have the macronutrients and you have the micro. These are the two parts in the food chart, right? In the macro, you have your carbohydrates, proteins, and fat, right? Now, these three are important on a daily basis. Like most of the Indian food is filled with a lot of carbs. I'm sure we all know that, right? But we need to ensure that we get a good amount of carbs, fat, and protein for the body to function, correctly, to have the energy, to fuel, all of that. Now, the micronutrients. The micronutrients are nothing but all your vitamins and your minerals. If your body does not get enough micronutrients, that is your vitamins and minerals, you are set for a lot of deficiencies that can come your way, right? These deficiencies are what get highlighted in that blood test that you do every 6 months or every 1 year, right? Now you'll see some values will be highlighted in bold because they're either less or they're more. Those are all primarily coming from lack of micronutrients in your body, which in reality can do a lot of damage if not looked into. Your hormonal imbalances, your hair fall. So many of these things are dependent on whether your body is getting enough micronutrients or not, right? So we ignore micronutrients completely because every time we talk about food, we only think of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Well, the truth is, yes, you need that on a daily basis and you need plenty of it, but you need your micronutrients on a daily basis. You need smaller quantities of it. And these small quantities of micronutrients, which is the vitamins and minerals, come from a lot of fruits and vegetables. Yeah, people who eat non-vegetarian get a fair amount from non-vegetarian as well. But a lot of it comes from your vegetables, your spices, your fruits, and all of that, right? Nuts and seeds and everything. So if you have small quantities of these things on a daily basis, you will not have to worry about, deficiency in your micronutrients at all. And when you do not have a deficiency in your micronutrients, you will see all your reports and results come out fine. Your skin is great, your hair is great, you feel great, everything feels just perfect. So focusing on how much vitamins and minerals you get along with carbs, proteins, and fat is very important for every human body, right? But if you're eating a typical, home cooked meal with X amount of sabzi and dal and, your fruits and all of that, you're quite sorted, I must say, right? You eat like 4 to 5 different types of vegetables and fruits in a day, you're certainly sorted. And you keep, keep eating the same thing every day. Just keep adding different type of vegetables and fruits, 2-3 different types of fruits, 2-3 different types of vegetables, and you're done. And keep the dals, the lentils and legumes coming on a daily basis, and you've covered most of the micronutrients that your body needs.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, the book is excellent and it's extremely simple to understand because it's got these diagrams and it is even easier then.
Yeah.
I was just wondering that is this book for people of all age groups or is this specific target audience?
So yeah, good question, Kavi. So this book honestly is made for everyone, but I'll tell you who it's going to benefit the most, right? People who want to start, right? People who have that little fear of how do I start? Where do I go? Where do I begin? Do I need to go to a gym? Can I do a lot of things at home? That this book will answer all those questions. And this book will also give you workouts. So we've put in a lot of boxes of workouts. Yeah, you must have noticed it, right?
Yes.
And these workouts are for beginners, or I don't know if you can see it, but these boxes here, they're all workouts, right? And then you have a lot of movement demonstration and everything done there. So you have the workouts, you can look at that. Like Kavi, if you feel like working out later today, you can pick up one of the boxes, you can refer, for the workouts and how to do the form and technique and just follow it through. And you can do 1 round of it, 3 rounds of it, 5 rounds of it, right? So, and no equipment, you can do it with equipments if you feel like it, if you have it at home, but otherwise you can even remove the equipment and do it as is. So I think it's going to greatly benefit somebody who's very new into fitness, wants to understand, how exercises need to be combined, how to get on the path of whether it's weight loss or muscle gain and all of that, right? For people who are already exercising a lot, you can still read the book and, step it up a notch. Like wherever I've mentioned 1 or 3 rounds, if you're an intermediate or advanced athlete, you can do 5 or 6 rounds, right? All you need to do is scale it up, bring the intensity up of the workouts that's mentioned in the book, and you will feel like it is, quite advanced compared to, for beginners, I would say 1 or 3 rounds. For an advanced, I would say 3, 5 or 6 rounds. So it is really for all, but it will benefit all the people who want to start off their fitness journey or health journey and really don't know where to start.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I was just wondering, do you feel that we're lagging behind as a nation in healthy lifestyles?
Absolutely, Kavi, absolutely. That's why I keep saying I've used this dialogue so often that fitness is a luxury in India and not a necessity, right? If you look at the lifestyles of people, maybe Europeans or, the Americans and all of that, yeah, they do a lot of, the burgers and the fries and all of that, the aerated beverages and all of that. But, the way they exercise, it is as much as a daily routine. You wake up, you brush, you bathe, you eat, right? Similarly, they incorporate exercise in their lifestyle, right? Almost everybody there goes to a gym or does some sort of a workout, despite the other lifestyle that they lead, okay? But in India, we resort to exercise when there is a need for something else. Take ghar mein, there is a shadi, right? Your shadi or somebody else's shadi and you want to lose a few pounds, kgs, you run into the gym. The doctor has told you, hey, you need to lose X amount of weight, otherwise you are going to have issues. Then you're like, oh my God, okay, let me immediately start working out, otherwise I may die sooner, right? You always find a reason to exercise and you don't believe that your life itself is a reason. Right? You need to know that you have this beautiful body, you have this beautiful mind, and you have this beautiful life. Now, if you want to keep all of them healthy and you want to age gracefully, then you have to incorporate movement. Right? Your body is not designed to just sit on this chair for long hours. You sit for a few hours to take a break, but you get up and get moving more often. So something that I mentioned in the book, and this I've learned from my parents and my ancestors, you sit down when you need to eat your meals, okay? And then you sit down somewhere in between to take a break here and there. You don't sit down 12 to 14 hours a day. That's not what your body is made for. Right? Which is why I keep saying that if you and I have a very hectic life with this, like corporate and always in front of the laptops and, mobile phones, it's okay. This is our life and we can't, change it, and we can't be, hunting or anything. But can we at least get up every 1 hour, walk for 5 minutes? I think that's not asking for too much, right? If I ask you, Kavi, can you get up every 1 to 2 hours from your desk and walk in your room for 5-10 minutes? Are you going to tell me it's a very difficult task? Exactly. So that's my point. I'm trying to tell everyone that just get up and walk more often, because you've been given legs for a reason. Your body is designed, that way for a reason, for you to be able to move. Your joints are made in a certain way to allow certain movements, and not just sit in front of a laptop and phone and keep your body in one particular way the whole day. That's not what it's designed for. So it is we still have a long way to go as a country where we make fitness a daily lifestyle, right? And I'm telling you, the more we incorporate this as a daily lifestyle, the more happier and healthier and fitter each one of us is going to be, which is going to contribute to a better economy, right? Because see, when you are more fitter, when you're more healthier, you're more efficient and productive at your work, right? You won't feel as sluggish. You won't feel as tired. Your mind is going to be more alert. You're going to be able to do your job so much better, right? So overall, healthier people in this country is going to contribute to a greater economy, right? So I believe that everyone should incorporate movement in their life, and my point of this book is that don't make movement or exercise complex. Make it simple. Now you eat, you bathe, you brush because it is something you're used to doing. Your body needs it, and it's also a simple task today. Same thing, make exercise and movement a simple task. And the classic example for this is your parents and your ancestors. They never led a life of sitting for more than 2 hours at a given space. They kept moving. So you don't need to go too far. You don't need to, try to understand it in a manner which is confusing. You just need to look around you, look at your parents, and I belong to this, I come from this village called Kundapur, right? And here, there's a lot of farming done, there's a lot of fishing happening, all of that, right? So I notice all these people around me, and I've seen whether you're pregnant or post delivery, people get up and move. People get up and get down to doing their tasks, and they keep it simple. They walk, they do their household chores. When like I'll give you an example of my mom. When she has to pick up something from the fridge, right? She opens the fridge door and she doesn't abruptly bend. She will squat down in a deep squat. She'll pull out stuff from the fridge and then get up. Now that is how your body is designed to do stuff. Now when you start integrating those kind of changes, your ankle will be a lot stronger. Remember, your ankle joint is something that's taking the weight of your entire body. So you need to keep it really strong. So movements like this that you incorporate at home in the form of deep squat and things like that will improve your, ankle strength, your knee stability, your hip mobility and all of that. And that's what you need to be fitter and stronger.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, coming to children who are addicted to video games and right from the start, maybe when they're even 5-6 years old, do you think they're going in the right direction? I mean, should their parents take some steps? If yes, could you suggest some tips, ma'am?
The truth is we are all used to the mobile phones and the laptops, okay? There is no running away from that fact. And no matter how much you try, you're not going to be able to keep your kids away from these things for too long. So let's accept that we need to, just get them used to these things over a period of time. But can we at least draw a line? I think we all can. And it's the same thing with you and I, right? You and I keep talking about how can we turn our gadgets off at least half an hour before we go to sleep? Can we not, sit on the phone for too long through the day? So we're trying to make that effort. Similarly, with our children, I think what's important is we set certain deadlines that, okay, you get to watch something on the mobile phone, or you get to play a game, or you get to watch TV for like 30 minutes a day or something, but only with the condition that you go outdoor for the 1 or 2 hours, you play out in the sun, you rough it out, you do these things, right? Then the reward for that is, of course, okay, you get like half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour of TV time. I think you need to be able to strike a balance. Like, don't do only that or don't do only this. It's okay for them to watch a little TV or play a few games on the mobile phone, but how much is the question, right? So I think if you kind of limit this, and if we reward it and complement it with enough of outdoor and stuff, we're all doing great then. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the most important message in the book that you want our readers and audience to be aware of?
It's honestly, I'll pretty much be reiterating on what I just said a while ago. It's very simple, Kavi. I just want to get our people to move more often, which is why the book really was named Get Moving. Yes, you can go to the gym, you can go running, you can go swimming, you can go boxing, you can go dancing. You can do so many different sports and exercises. You can do heavy lifting. There's no end to the choices you have in the space of fitness and sports, okay? And each one can pick an activity of their choice. But the simple and the most simple stuff that you need to incorporate for your body is movement, right? So I really want to get that message out to everyone who exercises or who doesn't exercise, that please start moving more often. I'm saying that to you, Kavi. If you have a lifestyle where you sit in front of, like right now, all of us are working from home. Yes. And if you're sitting in that 4 walls, like 10, 12 hours a day, you may not have a choice, but you do have a choice to get off that chair and walk every hour, okay? So just incorporate that. And for everyone who exercises regularly, if you are somebody who exercises 1 hour a day, but spending the other 22, 23 hours sitting in front of the chair, believe me, that exercise goes in vain, right? You may be doing a little bit of good to the body, but if you look at long-term pattern, you still need movement, right? So I always say that get about 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, right? Anything between 8,000, 10,000, 11,000 steps a day or even more is great for the body, right? So that's all my point is. Whether you're exercising or not exercising, just walk more often, move more often, do some chores around the house, just keep moving. That's it.
Ma'am, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mother, you're an expert fitness trainer, all at the same time. How do you dabble with everything? How do you manage everything so well?
No, it's really about what you love doing. Like there are 2 types of people, right? One that does the job because they need to do the job. And I guess that was me in the past, where I did my job. I liked my job, and I did it because I had to do some sort of work. I couldn't just be doing nothing. Then there is the now me, which loves what I do. Like I made my passion my profession, so I love it so much that I am able to manage everything in whatever limited time I get. I do my workouts. Now, of course, I have a baby to manage. Despite that, I am able to do all these, whatever work that comes my way, whether it's this call or whatever else. I still manage my, nutrition in the best way possible. I wake up and finish my 1.5 hour of workout, and I get my 10,000 steps a day because I keep walking, every 1 hour, 2 hours. I think when you love doing something, you will make the time for it, no matter what. And not having time, honestly, Kavi, is just an excuse we give ourselves.
Yes.
We're not giving it to anybody else, because I believe that 24 hours is a lot of time. Okay, you really only need about 7 hours of good sleep, but after that, you really have a lot of time to fit in a lot of things through the day. And I know that more now as I'm raising a baby. Right now, I know that I had a lot more time before, because if I'm doing everything despite managing a baby today, that means I had a lot more time before, right? So now I'm more aware, and I just keep wanting to take on more, because I feel like this no time is really, just something we tell ourselves. Otherwise, there's a lot we can do with the 24 hours that we have.
And we'll just take some questions from the audience. Mr. Sarvjit Dudeja, he's asking, what is the solution?
I'm not able to hear you, Kavi.
Ma'am, we'll just take some questions from the audience. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, so we'll just take some questions from the audience. So Mr. Sarvjit Dudeja, he's asking, what is the solution for chronic constipation?
If it's gone to a chronic stage, Kavi, it is very important for you to obviously, go have it checked, okay? But again, don't mean to gross anybody out, but I have, constipation issues myself, despite so much of exercise and all of that. And I resort to a lot of fruits and vegetables, okay, to ensure that I'm able to keep constipation at bay. Now, one solution to this is chia seed, okay? Chia seed is known to be one of the best, okay, for cure of constipation.
Ma'am, you've written in your book that you love chia puddings in the morning.
Yes. So I add chia seeds into, my smoothie bowl or my fruit bowl or oatmeal. So what, you can do is take maybe like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of chia seed, just soak it in water for about 1 hour, and it'll start kind of becoming it absorbs a lot of water. Okay, so you'll see like slightly becoming a little bigger. Add it to your smoothie bowl or wherever and just consume it, right? Believe me, chia seed can work wonders. Now, apples and pears are also brilliant to fight constipation. What happens with apples and pears, sometimes it can cause a lot of gas in your body, right? So you may not feel great or you may not feel good at all, but chia seed is a great solution for constipation. But despite all this, if you feel like it's not getting better, you should get it checked immediately, because you don't want your gut to go through so much suffering at all. So you should get it checked. Yeah, see your gastro or something like that.
Ma'am, Dr. Batra has just joined. So
lovely.
Hello, Shwetambari. Good to
Hi,
see you.
Dr. Batra.
Yes, I must tell our viewers I am a permanent head damage. I have a PhD, so I'm not a real but congratulations on your transformation. Confucius said you make your hobby your profession and you don't have to
Yes.
work. Tamri, you really embody that. How did that switch happen? And why don't you tell our readers and viewers on how one can kind of make a career switch and adopt something that you naturally enjoy doing and make an impact?
Yes. So true, Dr. Batra, about, making that career switch, right? I think one should be willing to take a little bit of a risk, which is what I realized. I had a very cushy job when I was in the bank. I made, decent amount of money, not too much, not too less, just about enough for me. But when I had to make that switch with my career, I had to make a choice. Do I do it at the risk of not making the same amount of salary and starting something from scratch? But what made me confident is that if I make this switch and I make it successful, I've arrived. But if I fail, then at least I know I have some qualification to go back and start another job again and, get my regular salary and go back to that, right? So if you need to make a switch, right, anyone, you need to just be willing to take a little bit of a risk. And in case you have made up your mind to be able to take that risk, I'm sure you'll put in your 100% into doing what you love. And then there is no failure there. There is honestly no failure. Like, I started everything from scratch. I sold my house to use that money for my business, right? But I took that risk because I was like, I have to give this a shot. If I don't, then I don't want to regret it at a later point. So yeah, it's about a risk-taking decision.
And investing in yourself is never a risk. It's a risk that more often than not kind of pays off. In terms of, at the end of the money is for enjoying.
Yeah.
If you enjoy what you do, as you said, loving what you do and doing what you love, is really the true life. Now tell us, they say sitting is the new smoking. Sitting for long periods of time and not moving. Because the book is about movement. It's about movement of the body, movement of the mind, movement of the breath, right? Tell us what can busy executives do to be able to do simple exercises which can help them stay fitter and healthier?
Yeah. So there are about 2-3 things, one can do while they're busy, in front of their laptops or on calls, right? First and foremost is just walking around your desk. Now, what I do very often when I take calls, and if I'm not needed to keep my video on, I actually get up and pace up and down in the room while I'm taking that call. If I'm supposed to be on the video, then if I know that, it's a little bit of a close group call, just some colleagues, and I can, be casual, then I keep the video on and I still kind of walk up and down. So one thing to do is walk more often on calls if possible. If you can't walk on calls, then after every call that you finish, take a 5-minute break. That's it. I'm not asking for more. Get up for 5 minutes, pace up and down, just loosen up that, stiff body because you've been sitting long, and then get back to your calls again, right? Second thing is squatting. Now, we all know how to squat on a chair, but can we just get up and squat without the chair? Just 10 squats, every 1 or 2 hours, get off your chair and do 10 squats without the chair. That itself will engage a lot of the core. Your midsection gets engaged, your quad muscles, your glutes, everything starts working. Your ankle joint, your knee joint, your hip joint, all of that will, start feeling a lot better when you squat without the chair. And your spine will also be extremely thankful if you can squat without the chair for about 2 minutes every 1 hour or something. So just get up and start doing some squats. So if you can incorporate these 2 movements, just these 2 movements are good enough in a day. So you don't have time for anything else. Some walking, some squatting, or you can do some jumping jacks, every couple of hours, do some 10 jumping jacks. Just gets the body moving. There's a lot of blood flow happening, blood circulation is getting better. More than enough.
Thank you so much. I also want to ask you, how did you come up with the name of the book? It's a simple title. It kind of signifies what you're trying to convey. But give us what were the names you rejected? What were the names you rejected?
Dr. Batra, you won't believe it, but I think when Penguin and I were talking about this, Roshni from Penguin and I kept discussing about the book name. The first name that kind of came to us was Get Moving. And we said, this is it, right? We want to really freeze on this name because the book is very simple. And the core goal for us is to get people to get up and just walk more often. Because the body is not designed to sit down. So we're like, that's all. We want to freeze on Get Moving and we don't want to make it complex, right? I know Get Moving can sound, intense, but Get Moving can also sound very simple and easy. So it really has like a little bit of a perspective that people can kind of perceive it in, different ways. But our goal is to really say, movement is simple. So just get up and just, keep moving. That's it. So we really
So
didn't have to think much.
Why are you sitting while talking to us? If you had told me we should have done a get walk, we would have both walked and done this conversation, and so would have Kavi. But coming back to the book again in the central theme. Now, I want to ask you. You talked about while you're taking calls more. You talked about doing 2-3 minutes of squats. You were talking about the benefit of chia seeds and overall nutrition. Tell us, we live in extremely stressful times. There's uncertainty, there is anxiety, there is all kind of worries we have. How do you make yourself mentally strong?
It's such a difficult question to answer, honestly. Dr. Batra, honestly, personally, I'll tell you what's worked for me. That I really enjoyed everything I do. I have my difficult days as well. And sometimes I just, sit down and kind of rethink of everything that I'm going through, the emotions that I'm going through, the battles, I'm going through on my own, or I just obviously share it with, somebody around me. It could be my husband, or it could be anyone around. It could be a friend, and talk it out. But I think all of us have accepted that this is our life. The lifestyle today has changed. It's not as simple as it was for our parents anymore, right? Like, they had their hardships also, but it was a lot simpler. We've made it very complex because we are a little more competitive. We want to go a little far ahead than someone else. So there's a lot of things that we deal with on our own in our minds. So I think just to kind of, for me, to sit back and think back, to unwind, and exercise itself makes a world of a difference. My go-to every time I'm a little stressed or I feel like I'm, everything's jumbled in my head, is exercise. I get a good workout in the morning. I pace up and down a little bit. Sleep is another thing. Sometimes, too much stress doesn't allow us to sleep also, right? Now, that is also something that can cause a lot of mental stress and things like that. So if you organize that, right, again, going back to exercise. So I exercise in the evening, so that I can tire myself out a little bit and get a good amount of sleep.
And
so honestly,
you talk about sleep. Fortunately, I'm reading this again, and I have gifted this book. I'll gift your book too. It's a Matthew Walker book, Why We Sleep. Sleep is so underrated. I mean, if you sleep well, you take better decisions. You're kinder to people. You eat better. You're a better listener. So tell us the importance of sleep.
Yeah, I think, sleep is like the most important for anyone, for people like you and me who have a little bit of a corporate life, and for athletes, right? Sleep is where your entire mind and your body is recovering. It's as simple as that. Now, if I do a very intense exercise today, and if I don't sleep well, my body has not recovered, right? So tomorrow, I actually, without proper sleep or proper recovery, if I get back to exercising, I'm actually doing more damage to the body, right? So for an athlete or for somebody who exercises regularly, sleep is super critical. And for someone who is just doing a lot of work in front of the laptop, a lot of thinking, if you don't sleep enough, you're just not as efficient the next day. You will not be as productive the next day. And when that keeps piling on, it basically creates a lot of anxiety, you're a lot more morose than, someone who probably sleeps well. So it does a lot of disturbance to the mind and the body. So getting your sleep in order is, I think, super most critical for anyone in any profession, right? And today, I think there are various ways to get our sleep in order. Like, even if we feel like for one full week we've missed out on our sleep, just a lot of meditation, a lot of calming music, or even seeking external help, it's all available. Back in the days, maybe we could not say that, but today we have all the help around us to kind of fix our sleep as well. So anyone who's going through that, I would say never let it continue, because sleep is super most critical for mental and physical health, recovery more than anything else.
Thank you, Shwetambre. We wish you luck in your book and your mission to make people healthy and hopefully live longer. Is there a bucket list? I know you're very young, but Shwetambre, is there a bucket list you have that you'd like to share with the viewers?
The one thing that I always wanted to do, Dr. Batra, was really reach out to a large number of people to make an impact in their life, right? And my impact is only from the perspective of health and fitness. That's why I started this career. Now, my career was otherwise going to be being a banker, right? Now, I made that shift only so that I can motivate and inspire people to live a more fit and healthier lifestyle, right? And I think through CureFit, through our cult centers, through our online presence, I have managed to reach out, far and wide, through some TV shows, radio shows, and all of that. Now, through this book, I'm also excited that I'm going to be able to reach out to a different set of audience who's probably more book savvy and less, into doing online workouts or gym workouts, maybe. So that's one of my biggest bucket list, where I reach out to maximum people and make a lot of people in this country, healthier and happier.
Thank you so much.
That's like a desire. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it's a good desire. It's for greater good, and we wish you luck. I definitely hope to follow the two pieces of advice: walk while working, and second is take squat. Thank you so much. We wish that you become a bestseller. The book becomes a bestseller.
Ma'am, my last question to you is, what would be the final message you would give to our viewers when it comes to nutrition and mental health?
Okay, so with nutrition, I would say, eat more clean food. And when I say clean, I would say, eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. These are the two things that probably go missing in our diet today. We eat a lot of brown rice and so on and so forth, but the finer things are missing. So eat mindfully. Don't eat because you have to have 3 meals or 5 meals. Eat when you're hungry. Don't overeat because, again, you have so many meals to finish a day. That's why I have to eat. Eat more mindfully and eat more clean. That's one. And eat simple, okay? Don't make your food too complex. For about mental health, you need to really learn how to switch off and switch on. Most important. That's like I was saying, sleep is one thing to recover mentally and physically. You need to be able to kind of just switch off and switch on. And from personal experience, exercise has really helped me become mentally strong. Okay, so for all of you who've never tried exercise as a medium to also become stronger, mentally, you should try it out. It truly exercise releases a lot of happy hormones, a lot of endorphins, and you just feel a lot more energy and a lot more happiness. It may be momentary. It may not last, for 23 hours, but it's a constant feeling. When you incorporate movement and exercise on a daily basis, the happy hormone release is on a daily basis. So it's a constant feeling. So try it out. And, honestly, you can thank me later, because there are a lot of people who I have helped with incorporating exercise just to get out of certain amount of, mental pain or agony or whatever, stress. And it's worked wonders. So one of the things you can incorporate apart from, meditation and all the other things is exercise to just feel better.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. And then get moving more often.
Thank you so much. Shwetambre, all the best.
Thank you, Dr. Batra.
We look forward to
Thank you so much.
At BW Wellbeing. For those who missed it, they can watch it on the BW Wellbeing YouTube page or read it in the next issue of BW Wellbeing. All the best.
Sure.
Thank you, Kavi.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kavi.